The courtroom sat frozen, not in silence, but in the eerie, suffocating stillness that follows trauma. The judge's gavel had already fallen, its echo still lingering like a ghost in every breath. Maya Thorne didn't move. She couldn't. Her eyes locked on the jury foreman, who'd just delivered the words that shattered her world. Not guilty. Her brother's killer, exonerated. The world didn't end with a bang. It ended with a whisper, a verdict, and a smirk from a man who should be in chains. Maya whispered, "This isn't real." But it was. The legal system, once her faith, now stood weaponized against her. Reporters surged. Cameras flashed. The prosecution lowered their heads. The defense laughed. And in the center of it all, Maya sat hollow, rage swelling in the cracks of her broken trust. A storm wasn't coming, it had already hit. This was not the end of her story. It was the start of war. Outside the courthouse, the world kept moving. Cars passed. Pigeons fluttered. Life was indifferent to justice. Maya stood on the steps, shoulders rigid, lips pressed tight. Reporters swarmed, microphones outstretched like spears. "Niems, Thorne, how do you feel?" someone shouted. Maya didn't answer. She couldn't. Her brother, Jason, had been her anchor. Now, buried and betrayed. Her attorney, Thomas Wren, tried to shield her with his coat and presence. "I will appeal," he said softly. Maya didn't look at him. Her eyes were locked on the courthouse door, waiting, daring, hoping the man who'd walked free would turn back and see the fury he left behind. He didn't. She whispered, "He killed him, and they let him walk." The wind carried her words away, but her resolve didn't move. Something inside her hardened on those steps. This wasn't justice. It was war painted in legal ink, and Maya had just chosen to fight. The apartment was too quiet. Maya shut the door behind her, the click echoing through the hollow space. Jason's jacket still hung by the door, untouched. The scent of his cologne lingered faintly in the air, amber and wood. Maya walked slowly, as if afraid the silence would break beneath her feet. In the living room, she knelt beside the memorial she'd created. Framed photos, candles, dye, his favorite watch. She lit one candle and whispered, "I'm sorry." Guilt gripped her. She'd trusted the system, believed truth would win. But truth didn't matter in court. Only stories. And the other side had told theirs louder. She sat back, breathing shakily. Her phone buzzed. It was her mother. Maya didn't answer. She couldn't hear another broken sob, not yet. All she could hear was the gavel, and the lie it made real. She blew out the candle. The darkness returned. Thomas Wren sat across from Maya in a worn cafe booth, two untouched coffees between them. Rain tapped the window like impatient fingers. He leaned in, voice low. "We weren't just out-argued. We were outplayed." Maya's jaw tensed. "You think someone got to the jury?" He nodded slowly. "Or to the evidence room? That surveillance tape? Gone. No chain of custody, no explanation." Maya's nails dug into her palms. Then this wasn't a trial. It was a show. Thomas sighed. "And someone powerful wrote the script." Silence held for a moment. Maya spoke, voice cold. "Then let's tear up the script." She stood abruptly, grabbing her coat. Thomas caught her wrist. "Maya, if we go down this road—" "We've already started," she said, pulling away. Outside, the rain came harder. The war for justice had just gone underground. Back in her apartment, Maya dug through Jason's files. Bills, receipts, letters. Nothing. Until she opened his encrypted flash drive. It flickered to life with a folder titled The Owls. Inside, scanned documents, emails, court dockets. One name kept surfacing. Judge Malcolm Raynor. The same judge from her trial. Maya's heart pounded. Why was Jason tracking a sitting judge? The video file blinked at her. She clicked. A blurry recording played, Raynor in a dark hallway, speaking to the accused man's father. Money exchanged. Maya's breath hitched. "Oh my God," she whispered. This wasn't incompetence. It was conspiracy. Jason had found it. And he died for it. Her hands shook as she copied the files to her laptop. She stared at the screen, her reflection lit by the glow of corruption. "You wanted truth, Jason. I'll bring it, no matter what it breaks." Maya sat cross-legged on Jason's bed, tracing the seams of his old denim jacket. The fabric still held the scent of cinnamon and smoke, the signature cologne had always worn. In the corner of the room, his guitar leaned against the wall, strings silent now. A memory crashed in, Jason playing softly while she cooked dinner, both laughing, the world still intact. She whispered, "You knew, didn't you? You knew they were watching." His journal rested open in her lap. Pages filled with names, connections, dates. Some crossed out. Some underlined in red. It wasn't random. Jason had been onto something, and it had killed him. The police ruled his death a mugging gone wrong. But nothing was stolen. Just silence forced. Maya's grief twisted into fury. They erased you, and called it justice. She stood, eyes burning with purpose. Her brother wasn't paranoid. He was hunted. And now they'd have to answer to her. Thomas entered the apartment without knocking. "Maya," he said, breath short. "I just got a call from a retired court clerk. She wouldn't give her name, but she told me Raynor's verdicts were bought. For years." Maya didn't blink. Jason knew. Thomas ran a hand through his hair. "He wasn't supposed to." He hesitated. "And neither are you." She turned toward him. "What are you saying?" He stepped closer. "This doesn't end in court. If you dig deeper, you won't just lose a case, you could lose everything." Maya stared at him. "Did you know about Raynor?" He hesitated too long. That was enough. She stepped back. "You were part of his game." "No," Thomas said quickly. "But I knew it didn't add up. I was told to stop asking." Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. "And you listened." Silence. That was his answer. She grabbed Jason's files. "I won't." She met the clerk in a forgotten parking garage, level P3, under layers of concrete and paranoia. A woman in her 60s, gray hair tucked under a scarf, eyes darting constantly. "You don't know me," she said, "but your brother saved my daughter." Maya froze. "What?" She was caught in Raynor's court. One wrong step and he buried her. Jason gave me proof, enough to get her out. The woman handed over a flash drive. He said, "If anything happened to him, find you." Maya took it, her hands trembling. "Why didn't you come forward?" "Because I still want to see my daughter alive." Tires screeched above them. The woman flinched. "They watch everything. Phones, cars, people." She backed away. "Be careful, Miss Thorne. The judge isn't the only one you should fear." And with that, she vanished into shadow. Maya stood alone, clutching the drive like a loaded weapon. Back home, Maya loaded the flash drive. The screen lit up with a folder named Case 0, Constructed Sentences. Inside, dozens of files. Fake testimonies. Bribery records. What? Digital copies of Raynor's sealed judgments, edited after trial. One video showed Raynor instructing a dai to clean the mess quietly. Maya's breath caught. This was a machine. A network. The law wasn't broken. It was engineered to fail people like Jason. Her laptop buzzed. A remote access attempt denied. Then, another. Maya yanked the cord and pulled the battery. They were already trying to erase her again. She whispered, "Not this time." Outside, a black car idled across the street. No headlights. No movement. She closed the curtain slowly, pulse racing. The war wasn't metaphor anymore. It had entered her walls. And every second from now on had to count. In Jason's closet, tucked inside an old shoebox beneath worn sneakers, Maya found them. Letters. all addressed to her. None mailed. Her hands shook as she unfolded the first. Maya, if you're reading this, I've probably crossed a line I shouldn't have. Letter after letter chronicled his descent, the threats, the surveillance, the moments he wanted to quit but didn't. I'm not trying to be a hero, one read. I'm just tired of watching them get away with it. Maya pressed the last letter to her chest. Her brother had walked into the fire to protect people he didn't even know. Now she had his words, his proof, his fear, but also his bravery. She sat on the floor, surrounded by pages and grief. Then she stood and packed them into a folder. It was no longer about vengeance. It was about finishing what he started. Maya sat on her living room floor, surrounded by Jason's files and flash drives. Paper after paper, her eyes scanned for meaning. And then it emerged, a list. Dates, defendants, charges, all tied to one courtroom, Judge Raynor's. She mapped it out with red thread on the wall. The pattern was horrifying. Minor offenses turned into maximum sentences. Wealthy donors linked to private prisons. One defendant's charges were dropped hours before trial. His father was on Raynor's yacht donor list. This isn't just corruption, Maya muttered. It's commerce. A business built on injustice. Thomas arrived, stood silently at the door. Jesus, he said, taking it all in. You could burn the courthouse down with this. Maya turned to him. No, I'm going to make them burn it down themselves. She pointed to a folder labeled 1987, Case 0. And it starts here. Case 0. A juvenile. 16, charged with assault. The boy disappeared after the trial. No prison record. No death certificate. Nothing. Maya tracked down the boy's old address, a condemned house in South Heights. The neighbor, an older man with cloudy eyes, watched her approach. You look like the kid's sister, he mumbled. You knew him? Maya asked. Not well, but I remember the sirens, the screaming. He was taken at night, never came back. He looked around nervously. Men in suits came a week later, told us to forget him. Maya asked for a name. Devon Marks, he whispered. But that name's dangerous. She wrote it down anyway. Thank you. The man grabbed her wrist. If you dig too deep, you won't come back either. Maya nodded. She wasn't just chasing a verdict anymore. She was chasing ghosts. Back at the courthouse, Maya walked into the archives with forged credentials and nerves on fire. Dust danced in shafts of flickering light as she searched row after row of records. Case 0. Gone. Its folder was missing, the label marked, but the file slot empty. A maintenance worker approached slowly, looking for something. Maya froze. Just cross-referencing. He stared too long. Be careful, he said. Files that go missing stay missing, and so do the people looking for them. He walked away, leaving a thin slip of paper on the floor. Maya picked it up. A name. Elena Morrow, former court recorder. Scribbled beneath. She kept her own copies. Maya's hands trembled. There were still pieces left. But now she was sure. Someone powerful was watching her every move. Elena Morrow lived in a small cottage by the river, hidden by overgrown weeds and silence. She opened the door before Maya could knock. I knew you'd come, she said, frail but alert. Jason came too, once. Inside, dusty shelves were stacked with tapes, boxes labeled by year. Elena pulled one marked, Devon Marks, 1987. She loaded it into an old recorder. Static. Yeah. Then, a young voice crying. A gavel slammed. Judge Raynor's voice boomed. Let the record reflect that the defendant has waived counsel. The boy screamed, No, I didn't. Elena paused the tape. He was sentenced in under 7 minutes, then disappeared. Maya sat still, throat tight. You kept this all these years? Elena smiled sadly. Because no one else would. Maya reached for the tape. I'm going to make sure everyone hears him, Elena said softly. Then you'd better run. Maya drove in silence. Elena's tape buckled into the passenger seat like a passenger. Her knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. The streets were dark, every headlight a potential threat. Then, a black SUV appeared in her rearview mirror. No plates. No turn signals. Just presence. Her heart kicked into overdrive. She turned sharply onto side streets, cutting through alleys and weaving past red lights. Still there. She reached under the seat, pulled out the flash drive copy, and slid it into her coat. If they were going to erase her, they wouldn't erase the truth. She finally pulled into a crowded gas station and vanished inside. Watching from behind the glass doors, the SUV idled, then drove away. Maya exhaled, still trembling. For the first time she knew, they weren't just watching. They were hunting. Thomas sat alone in his office, blinds drawn, tie loosened, whiskey untouched beside a stack of court motions. The door creaked open. Maya stepped in. "You lied to me," she said flatly. He didn't deny it. "I tried to protect you by standing beside Raynor." Maya's voice cracked. "You knew Devon Marks. You knew he disappeared." Thomas leaned back, weary. "I was a public defender then. They told me he was relocated. That's all I ever knew." Maya threw a photo onto his desk. Devon in handcuffs, barely a boy. "That's not relocation. That's erasure." Thomas exhaled. "You think you're the only one who lost something? I buried my conscience years ago." Maya stared at him. "Dig it up." Her tone softened, but not her fire. "You owe Jason. And yourself." She turned to leave. "Pick a side, Thomas, because neutrality is just another form of guilt." Maya sat in a cafe booth, with an old laptop open in front of her. The tape of Devon's trial played on mute, subtitles on. She uploaded it, along with the case files, Raynor's donor records, and Jason's notes, to an encrypted site under a pseudonym, Justice Undone. A trembling breath escaped her as the upload bar hit 100%. Achwai. Within minutes, anonymous comments poured in. "We knew. They buried my brother too. Thank you." She sat frozen, overwhelmed by truth, finally released. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You've made a powerful mistake." No threats. No name. Just a quiet promise of retaliation. Maya locked her phone, slid out of the booth, and left through the back alley. The world had seen the truth. But now the system would strike back. Her war was no longer in shadows. It was public now, and lethal. Thomas found her near the courthouse steps, rain just beginning to fall. He carried a box, documents, audio recordings, internal memos. "I kept these," he said, handing it over, "in case I ever grew a spine." Maya didn't smile, but her eyes softened. "This means you're in?" He nodded. "You were right. We don't fix the system from inside. It was never built for justice." Maya opened the box. Now, at the top, a signed memo from Judge Raynor to a prosecutor. "Discard Devon Marks. Unfit witness. This is the nail," Maya whispered. Thomas sighed. "Then drive it in." A car passed, slow, watching. He met her gaze. "They're watching me now too." She reached out. "Then, we stand together." The rain hit harder, washing away fear. It was the first time Thomas looked like a man ready to lose everything for the right reason. That night, Maya returned to find her apartment door ajar. Instinct froze her on the threshold. No light inside. She slipped her phone from her coat, recorded as she entered. Her files, gone. Drawers pulled open. Jason's letters, the flash drive, Elena's tape, missing. She rushed to the laptop. Still there. One video still playing. Devon's testimony. But the cursor moved. A remote user was inside. A chat box opened. "This was your last warning." Maya slammed the lid shut and ripped the drive. Breath shallow, she backed away. Her war was not just against Raynor. Someone else, someone higher, was playing the strings. This wasn't surveillance. It was control. And now she knew. They were inside the system, and her home. She grabbed what she could and fled. There was no safety now. Only momentum. Only fire. Maya knocked on a rusted garage door at the edge of Eastview, the only place left untouched. It slid open to reveal Ray, a former hacker turned whistleblower, and an old friend of Jason's. "You brought the fire," Ray said. "Now we torch their house." Maya handed over the surviving drive and tapes. "They're in my apartment. They're in everything." Ray smiled grimly. "Then we go analog." Inside the bunker-like workshop, radios buzzed, typewriters clacked, and corkboards screamed of conspiracy. "You have enough here to collapse Raynor," Ray said. "But if we want the bigger fish, we need more than evidence. We need a stage." Maya nodded slowly. "Then build one." For the first time she wasn't fighting alone. The safe house wasn't a refuge, it was a launch pad. And justice would no longer knock. It would break the door down. Ray tuned the radio scanner, fingers dancing over analog dials. Static hissed, then a voice emerged, distorted, but urgent. "This is Hawk. I saw what happened in '87. Raynor, I have records." Maya leaned in, heart pounding. Ray responded, "We're listening." Silence. Then coordinates, "A meet up a time." "Come alone," Hawk added. "They'll erase me if they know I spoke." Maya's hand shook as she wrote it down. Ray narrowed their eyes. "You sure this isn't bait? Does it matter?" Maya said, "If it's real, it's the key." Ray didn't argue. They handed her a burner phone and a camera pen. "Record everything. If you don't check in by midnight, we go nuclear." Maya nodded, resolve carved into her face. The truth had started whispering, and she was going to meet it in the flesh. The warehouse loomed like a forgotten cathedral, silent, hollow, haunted by the past. Maya stepped through the broken side door, footsteps echoing. A figure emerged from the dark, a wiry man in his 60s, white hair under a ball cap, face partially hidden by shadows. "Hawk?" she asked. He nodded. "Name's Marcus Kane. I worked records for the juvenile courts." He pulled a folder from his coat, thick and weather-stained. "Devon Marks. Not the only one. They ran a program. Kids marked as disruptive were fast-tracked. Fabricated charges. Secret transport deals with private contractors." Maya's mouth went dry. Where did they go? Some never came back. Others, well, they became leverage. He looked around nervously. "I've kept this for 30 years, but they're still watching." He handed her the folder. "If I die tonight, promise me you'll show the world." Maya took it. "I will." Back in the safe house, Maya and Ray pored over Kane's file. Names, dikes, mugshots, charges that didn't match ages. Kids pulled from school, from homes, from courtrooms. One entry made Maya pause. Amari Devons, missing since 1993. Status, unknown. Ray's voice cracked. "She was my cousin." Maya looked at them. "You never told me. Didn't know until now. She vanished when I was 10. They said she ran away." Ray's fists clenched. "They buried her in paperwork." Maya reached over and squeezed their shoulder. "Then we unbury her." The walls around them felt smaller, heavier. They were holding the weight of dozens of lives rewritten by a system designed to erase. And now they had names. Proof. Gal. Stories. Maya taped one photo to the wall. Devons. "You're not lost anymore," she whispered. The final tape in Kane's folder was unmarked. Ray played it. A scratchy recording played over speakers. Judge Raynor's voice. "Calm. Calculated. Make the kid disappear. No trial. Just process him." Another voice responded. "Thomas." Maya stiffened. Wait, that's... Ray paused the tape. Maya stood slowly, breath caught in her throat. He said he didn't know. She rewound it. Listened again. Thomas's voice, timid, uncertain, but present. He had been part of it. Not deep, not orchestrating, but complicit. Maya felt her stomach twist. He lied to me. Ray's eyes narrowed. He might still help, or he might bury you. Maya looked down at the folder, then toward the phone. Her face hardened. Either way, he's going to face what he helped hide. The tape kept playing, filling the room with voices of betrayal. Thomas opened the door expecting an ally. Instead, he found Maya, folder in hand, eyes cold. You lied, she said. He didn't ask how she knew. Just lowered his gaze. I was scared. Of Raynor. Maya stepped forward. Or of losing your position. He sighed. Both. I was young. I didn't think it would matter. She threw the tape on his desk. It mattered. Every life they disappeared, every lie you sat through. It mattered. Thomas picked up the tape, turning it over like it burned. What are you going to do with it? Broadcast it? Bring them down? His eyes widened. You'll be killed. Maybe, Maya said. But I'd rather die honest than live silent. Thomas looked at her, something breaking in his eyes. Then let me help. For real this time. Maya stepped back, gaze unwavering. Prove it. Thomas stepped into the press room with Maya at his side. Dozens of journalists shifted uneasily as the microphones lit up. I'm Thomas Wren, he began. And I'm here to confess my role in a decades-long cover-up under Judge Malcolm Raynor. Murmurs exploded. Maya stepped forward. We have proof of wrongful convictions, falsified records, and the disappearances of juvenile defendants. She held up Kane's folder. This isn't rumor. It's documented fact. Cameras clicked furiously. We are submitting this evidence to the Attorney General's office, Thomas added. And to the public. Maya locked eyes with the front row. This is no longer about one man. This is about the machinery behind him. Gasps filled the room. As they exited, a reporter called out, Aren't you afraid? Maya didn't stop. Yes, but fear doesn't clean blood from the law. Outside, the first domino had fallen. And the collapse had begun. Judge Raynor stood in a marble chamber, flanked by his legal advisors, and smoke-thin calm. His expression unreadable. A news anchor's voice echoed from a nearby television. Breaking story, Judge Malcolm Raynor accused of decades-long judicial corruption. He muted it. They've decided to play loud, he said coldly. His advisor, a sharp-suited woman, leaned in. We initiate containment. Discredit the witnesses. Leak Maya's juvenile arrest record. Raynor waved a hand. No. Too late for shadow games. We need theater now. He walked to a framed portrait, his own, and removed a hidden drive behind it. If they want war, we'll give them spectacle. He turned toward the team. Push the emergency trial. Pin the conspiracy on Thomas Wren. Burn him as the mole. And Maya? Someone asked. Raynor smiled. She'll be ash by the time the verdict arrives. The smear campaign hit like a hammer. Maya's face flashed on screens across the city. Vigilante or liar? News anchors dissected her past. An old shoplifting charge from college, her mental health struggles after Jason's death. This is the system's reflex, Ray said, tossing a newspaper on the table. Destroy the truth by destroying the teller. Maya remained silent, staring at her own face on the screen. Then, let them talk. She turned to Thomas. We don't fight this with denials. We fight it with receipts. Thomas nodded, sliding a flash drive across the table. This has everything, Raynor's financials, the backdoor prison contracts, the payoffs. Ray added, I've built the leak site. No takedowns, no ownership, decentralized. Maya's voice didn't shake. Then we go live. Let's make the whole city feel what they've been pretending not to see. The screen flickered across every smart device in the city, phones, tablets, even bus stop displays. A black screen. Then Maya's voice. "My name is Maya Thorne, and I have something you need to hear." The Devon Marks tape played next, raw, unedited. His cries, Raynor's cold verdict, the silence afterward. Then, Raynor's sealed orders, overlaid with payoffs, case charts, and handwritten letters from Jason. Faces once hidden now exposed. Victims. Survivors. Corrupted officials. The entire rot laid bare. Ray's servers held against cyber attacks, bots flooding comments with support. Some wept. Some raged. But no one ignored it. Across the city, a reckoning was brewing. Maya sat watching the stream, silent. "This isn't justice yet," she said. "It's the ignition." Outside, police sirens howled, not coming for her, but for the ones she'd exposed. Judge Raynor's mansion was surrounded before sunrise. Flashlights swept across manicured hedges as federal agents shouted commands. He opened the door in silence, robe still on, hands trembling. Inside, his portrait crashed to the marble floor. Across town, prosecutors resigned, defense attorneys flipped, and the courthouse buzzed like a hive kicked open. In the safe house, Maya sat with Ray and Thomas watching the footage, Raynor in cuffs. "He looks smaller," Thomas said. Maya didn't respond. She stared at the screen. "That's not justice," she murmured. "It's just the beginning of accountability." Ray raised a brow. "You're not done. Not until every name we found is heard," Maya said. She reached into Jason's old box and pulled out a final folder. Names marked in red. "We've torn down the lie," she whispered. "Now we finish the truth." The courthouse steps were lined with reporters, protesters, survivors, and silence. Maya entered through the front door, flanked by Ray and Thomas. Inside, a new judge presided over the grand jury hearing against Malcolm Raynor and 3 other officials. The public was allowed. Cameras rolled. And Maya, after all the war, was called to testify. She stood in the witness box, her hands steady. "My brother Jason died trying to expose this," she began. "And I refuse to let his voice be buried with him." Every word carved through the courtroom like thunder. She presented the tapes, the documents, the names. The judge listened. The jury took notes. But Maya wasn't there for a verdict. She was there for acknowledgement. And for the first time, the law had no shadows left to hide in. It had to listen. Raynor's defense rose like a practiced machine. "Your Honor, this is not justice. It's vengeance in disguise." His lawyer, a sleek man with ice in his voice, waved to the gallery. "My client served the state for over 30 years. But Maya's evidence played again." The courtroom fell silent as Devon's scream echoed once more. Then came the twist. Thomas requested to cross-examine Raynor himself. The judge allowed it. Thomas approached slowly, measured. "Do you deny this is your voice?" Raynor didn't answer. "Do you deny the payments, the disappearances?" Raynor's silence spoke louder than lies. Maya watched from the stand. She wasn't a victim now. She was a witness, a warrior. And Raynor, for once, had nowhere to hide. This wasn't revenge. This was exposure. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Maya sat in the hallway, head against the cold marble wall, fingers gripping Jason's old pendant. Ray paced. Thomas stared blankly at the vending machine. Finally, the bailiff called them in. The gallery was packed. The judge nodded. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor." The 4 persons stood. "On the count of judicial corruption, guilty." Gasps. "Come to." "On conspiracy to obstruct justice, guilty." Maya didn't move. Not even as Ray squeezed her shoulder. Not even as Raynor's head fell. The judge nodded slowly. "Sentencing will follow." No cheers. No applause. Just silence. Maya exhaled, eyes burning. This wasn't closure. There was no such thing. But it was truth. For once the lie didn't win. Weeks passed. The headlines shifted. Other officials resigned. Investigations bloomed across cities. A reckoning had begun. Maya returned to Jason's grave with a folder in hand. She knelt. "It worked, Jay," she whispered. "You weren't wrong. They just weren't ready." She left the folder, a printout of the jury's verdict, articles, and a photo of Devon Marks, reunited with his family. Ray stood nearby, silent. "You going to disappear now?" Ray asked. Maya stood. "No, I'm going to teach others how to fight." Ray smirked. "Good, you're dangerous when you believe." They walked away together, the wind rustling the trees above. Justice hadn't restored what was lost, but it had cracked the silence. And now, Maya knew, change didn't come from inside the system. It came from the ones brave enough to break it open. Late at night, Maya sat alone in the safe house. Everything was quiet now. No sirens. No threats. Just the hum of distant traffic and the whisper of papers in her hand. Jason's last unsent letter. "If you're reading this, I guess I went too far. Or maybe just far enough." She smiled faintly. "Far enough," she whispered. She walked to the bulletin board, still cluttered with strings, names, faces, and pinned the letter in the center. Then she turned out the lights. In the dark, one phrase echoed in her mind. Justice didn't come in the verdict. It came when people finally looked. And somewhere out there, someone else was watching, listening, ready to rise. Maya stepped into the night. Her part was done, for now. But the fire she lit would never be unseen again. Justice didn't come in the verdict. It came when people finally looked.